It's that time of year again. Doo-da-doo-da. It's time for the top 5 games I didn't play and did play. Because we're melding the two series together. It happens from year to year. It's fine. You know what this is. On the one hand, we have the top 5 games that I didn't play, but I really, really wanted to this year. They either came out this year. No, they did come out this year. They came out this year. I never got around to playing them. And I really want to, and I'm hopefully going to play them in the coming year. And then afterwards, we also have the top 5 games I did play. Those are the games I did play this year. They didn't have to come out this year. Yeah, one of them didn't come out this year, and I think another one came out. No, that one came out last year. No, this one came out. Anyway, they're the games I actually played this year. I had to have played them the first time this year. It didn't, even though they came out years before, it was this year that I played them. So we're going to start off with the games I didn't play, and then we're going to go into the games I did play. So strap in, this is going to be a long video. So, on the starting line, sort of, kind of, for the games I did not play this year, number 5, is a game that kind of is a twist on the stuff that I have been interested in as of late. I think the Divinity bug got into my system, and I really like the CRPG in-depth character roleplay create skill character thing. The branching paths, the decision-making storyline stuff. But this one's kind of in a different genre flair, and I'm using my hands weirdly. Number 5 is Greedfall. Definitely already off the bat, the setting and the story and the look of the game caught my attention. It is both a mix of some Divinity stuff, but mostly Dragon Age, not Dragonfall. Some Dragon Age-y stuff. Dragon Age never really caught my interest, though. It was just too much of a game, and a lot of people kind of said this was and wasn't a good series. I know that the first one was said to be really good, but the second and third one kind of fell off after that. And then Greedfall came around, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that kind of game. It's like that. Oh, there are other elements to this. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. Well, story, decision-making stuff. I like that. So, yeah, Greedfall's number 5. It's not a high priority, though. It's definitely, if I ever play it, going to be a live stream game. And even still, we'll see how it goes. It look and feel alone is why it is an interest to me. If the gameplay and stuff isn't good, then I'll probably not do anything with it, but for the most part, number 5 is Greedfall. Now, number 4 is a slight break of the rules, but I am allowed this because it's my damn channel. I have played the demo. I think I've done this once before as the didn't play listing. I've played the demo of this game. It came out for a short amount of time. I saw it at E3, Devolver Digital's panel. Excellent panel. Even if you're not interested in the games, like the showmanship alone is an amazing thing that you should watch. This game just happened to flash up, and it looked amazing. It is Carrion. It is basically the thing, the game, which you play as the thing. I like playing as the monster. The demo came out, and I was really excited. I downloaded it, played it a couple times, actually. I really like it. It's really good. Once the full game comes out, I'm definitely going to be playing it. I'm definitely going to be enjoying it. It's just the feeling of being a monster. Movement. I know movement is a big thing that they've highlighted in both the demoing and the explanation of how the game is. But until you actually play the game, you do not understand how fluidly that creature moves. It is creepy and fast. And unless you have a flamethrower, you're fucked. Number 3 is a number 3 on the list. This happens a lot more than I realize, I think. Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 was shown off, and it came out this year. It's on the Epic Store. I'm going to wait till I get it either on Steam or the Game of the Year edition, because I can wait. Sure, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with waiting. But Borderlands 2, I've sunk a ton of hours into. I even started playing again to keep leveling up my Siren character. I even, for cheap, bought all the DLCs finally, and really enjoyed them, except the Hammerlock one. That one's iffy at best. Everything else is great, though. I played through some of that. I got the Borderland bug again. I even did another thing for the other list. Hinty, hinty. Don't say that. But yeah, the entire bug that I caught was solely because Borderlands 3 was announced. And I saw a little bit of it, and I'm like, that is good. That is good. I'm going to play that. I'm going to enjoy it. And I know I am, because it's Borderlands. I already like that game. I love that series. So I know I'm going to like Borderlands 3. Therefore, it's number 3. Yay! Don't you love it how life works out that way? On the second spot, we have the sequel to an absolutely amazing game, Silksong. Now, this was just announced and just teased very minorly, but it's coming out. If you don't know what Silksong is, it is the prequel, I want to say, to Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a 2D, Soulsy, explorational Castlevania-y game that is absolutely incredible. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was on my last year's top games that I had played. It might have been even number 1. I don't know. I did not look. I'll assume, though, I do definitely remember, though, it was on the top list. It was definitely there. And if you want my opinions on that, go watch that video. But when they said they were going to make DLC for it, I was absolutely on board. Then they said, the DLC kind of got a little out of hand, and we're just going to make it its own separate game. And I'm like, you have my money. It takes place, like I said, I think it's a prequel. It's with the lady, not the Hollow Knight, that you kind of befriend in the game. I'm wibbling my hands around again. It looks really good. The gameplay is a little bit different, but the style and the aesthetic is the same thing, but it's also the same thing. It just looks great again, and it has probably the potential to, when it comes out, be on the top 5 games, or top whatever games that I have of that year. So I'm incredibly looking forward to that. It's one of the most atmospherically enjoyable games I think I've ever played, and I'm crossing my fingers that the sequel prequel thing will be just as good, if not better. And finally, on the top 5 games I have not played this year, but I really wanted to, was a game I slightly hinted at. I very much hinted at when I was doing my newsletter back whenever I did my newsletter. That may or may not have been like 20 minutes ago. Editing. It is Control. Now, Control is made by Remedy. Remedy made Alan Wake. Therefore, Remedy is one of my favorite game developers ever. And Control, I think it is one of my perfect games that I have ever seen. I luckily have been spoiler-free on it, and I really want to watch some things. But the fact of the matter is that it is very upfront weird. Super weird. But it's got really interesting characters and a story. And it's super weird. But it goes weirder places. And it has feelings of... It just has feelings of things. I don't know how to describe it. And that's kind of what Control is all about. You don't know how to describe it. And it's won so many and nominated for so many great awards, and I am just... blinders. I have not spoiled myself on anything. I want to go in completely, utterly blind. It has been a pain in my ass to avoid all these spoilers, but... Control is the definition of the number one game that I have yet to play. And it will definitely be a series on the channel, you know, one of those special case series that I talked about in my newsletter. I'm very much looking forward to whenever I get my hands and play that game. So we got the middle bit now. We've done the games we haven't played. Next up is the games I have played. But before that, we're going to talk about honorable mentions. We've got 2 this year. One is obviously Divinity 2. It's not on the list because it's been a while since I played it, and also it's a carryover game that took a couple years to beat. But I'm finally mentioning it now, and it's an absolutely yes to get, because I finished it. This year was the year I finished it, so my usual ruling is I have to beat it to really understand and recommend. So, yes, Divinity, it should be on the list. I think it was an oversight on my part that it was on the list, or not on the list this year. But, yes, Divinity 2, we all know my opinion on that. More and less said, the better. What really is an interesting game that actually took a little bit of time to get better was Pathways. Pathways is both an honorable... It's an honorable mention for 2 reasons. 1, it's a good game, but 2, it took a while to be a good game. It gets the award, if I ever gave out awards, for the most improved. Okay? So, if you're not familiar with, Pathways is a very light XCOM-y game. Choose your own pathways, which is, you know, the reason why it's called Pathways. Indiana Jones style, turn-based XCOM-y, FTL-ish. It actually got a little bit more FTL-y when they updated it, but, you know, it's still not an FTL. It got better. It's really, really good. It's got character customization and leveling up. It's got equipment. It's got some really interesting decision making when it comes to items. Now, but when it first came out, it was a little bland. And it's a shame because the artwork in this game is astounding. The entire first splash panel loading screen is a work of art I would love to see in a museum. It is that damn detailed and so beautiful, and the everything that they've done to create the game's look was amazing. And that alone is kind of why it sold me on getting it, along with, you know, a lighter XCOM-y feel. But as I played it, it didn't feel quite right. So I put it on the back burner for an update, because they absolutely admitted a lot of people didn't like it when it came out. So they were like, okay, we'll work on it, we'll fix things, And they did. It was like a few months that went by, and they updated it. They changed a few things. They changed how items and leveling, and they kind of rearranged the organs of the skeleton to make it work better, and they improved it, and it is absolutely a game you should pick up now. Like, it is... how can I say it? It was a vanilla ice cream milkshake. I'm hungry. Go with it. It was a vanilla ice cream milkshake, okay? You like milkshakes, it's good, but it's just vanilla. You know? Simple as that. After some time, they added the hot fudge. They maybe added the banana. I probably would have thrown the banana out myself because I don't like bananas. But, you know, they add the sprinkles. They add the cherries. They add maybe a change to the fact that now it's a ice cream float or fizzy cream soda. Cream soda. That's what I'm thinking of. Cream sodas are the best. But they changed it and they added some stuff and it became so much better. So it gets the award for most improved. Now, also, side note on that, they made a game before this that caught my eye because of how Pathways had turned out and whatnot, called Halfway. All right? This also had really good artwork and turn-based XCOM-y style, and it went on sale, and I'm like, you know what? I want to see where their mind kind of ended up, because from the first game, the Halfways, to where Pathways was released to where it is now, I want to see like where the starting point was. What is Halfways? Halfways is rough. Okay? It's a space game, so, you know, Space Marine-y shooter alien stuff. Fine. I'm fine with the theme. Very light on whatever the fuck it went through. It is a rough game. It is a little dull. It's okay. It's okay. So it makes sense on how and why Pathways turned out the way it did on launch. But, like I said, good for the developers. They heard the complaints, they fixed it, and now it's an absolute, like, Pathways is an absolute treasure. You should pick it up. Honorable mentions, finished. There. Done. Go check out Pathways. Now we shall begin the top 5 games I did play this year. And the number 5 is a sequel to a game I have played. Or kind of also was a prequel to a game I had played. It's Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Kind of hinted that at the last didn't play stuff. So Borderlands, the pre-sequel, kind of has a rough image, especially when it came out. People said it was Borderlands, but worse. I remember people saying it was Borderlands, but kind of worse, but also okay, and the characters weren't the best, so it made me not want to play it. But then, I don't know, Borderlands 3 came out, and I got that little bug, and that's why I went back to Borderlands 2 to play it. And then a sale went on, and you know that Handsome Jack collection thing that you can get? That went really cheap. Like, really, really cheap. It goes cheap a lot. And I'm like, you know what? I'll pick up the DLCs to Borderlands 2. I'll do that. And for a bonus, I'll get the pre-sequel. You know what? I'll see how that goes. And I started playing it. And after a while, I really started liking it. And then I started to question, well, why did people not like it? I think the reason people didn't like it was because it came out too soon to Borderlands 2. I think that's the case. Because if you are someone who hadn't, or have played Borderlands, the pre-sequel, before, kind of right when it came out, go back to it now. Because I have a feeling that since the time has passed, Borderlands, the pre-sequel, is actually really, really good. Shall I say, just a tiny bit better than Borderlands 2? For a very distinct reason. Gameplay feel for Borderlands 1 is run, gun, shoot, repeat. Borderlands pre-sequel is run, gun, shoot, jump and hang in the air, float a little bit, and repeat. The feeling of mobility in the game is a lot more enjoyable, I feel. Plus, there's the laser weapons, which are absolutely amazing. I'm fingers crossing hoping that they are in Borderlands 3. Plus, I noticed a couple things that reviewers mentioned that they loved about Borderlands 3 that are actually in Borderlands pre-sequel. So, in 3, custom characters that you play as make funny quips, make lines and retorts. They have their own little special dialogue option comebacks for when they're on missions. That's in Borderlands the pre-sequel. I was not expecting that, and when things started, when my character started talking with other people, I'm like, wait, that's the thing in 3. Oh, it came from here. Oh, that's cool. Secondly, the dive bomb. Like, in 3, there's the whole jump from a height, press crouch, and you go, whoosh, do a smash attack to the ground, pressing buttons or displacing people all over. That's in the pre-sequel. It works, because it's in space. I don't know how it works in 3, though, mind you, but I think they carried that over from the pre-sequel to 3. So there are some skeletal structurings from 3 that came from the pre-sequel. So, me playing it, as I, beat it, I actually really liked it. Not just, the feel and the gunplay, but the story was really kind of interesting. I actually, this is a little bit of spoilers, but it's been years since the game came out. In 2, Handsome Jack is the villain, and we're the good guys. We fight Handsome Jack. Simple as that. In the pre-sequel, you're on Jack's side before that ever happens. And they do the story in a way that, yeah, Jack's an asshole, and he's evil, but he's not... But all the good guys kind of push him over the edge a little bit. And I started not liking Lilith. Like, she is a straight up, really close villain, almost, in the game. Even though it's just storyline talky stuff. I get where the story similarities and stuff were going, and I get what they were trying to say. And I don't know if people just didn't understand it or went over their heads or something like that, or they didn't agree with it. I really, really liked the story in it. Not to mention, it's like half the length of Borderlands 2. It's not a large game. It is very digestible. So I think if you're ever in the mood for some Borderlands stuff, but don't want to play through the entire campaign of Borderlands 2, or even Borderlands 3, I've heard that game is so long. Borderlands the pre-sequel is the right amount of length. Sure, there are some story snafus here and there. Some characters make decisions that really don't match up. It's kind of just to move the plot forward. It's not perfect. But I think people should give it a second try. I really do. And that's why it's... What number was it? 5. That's why it's number 5. And if I've been talking about this for the number 5 spot, just wait till we talk about 4 through 1. Dear Lord, that went on for too long. Metroidvanias are one of my favorite genres. I grew up with Metroid. Those are some of my favorite Game Boy Advance games that I had played. I still have the cartridges. Yay! Memories and childhood belongings that you pass on to your other children, hopefully one day. And that being also said, Castlevania games didn't really come into my life until much later, and ROM hacks. But then I also played a DS game, so I think we're about even on that. Aria of Sorrow, to be more specific. And because of that, there is like this little, well, not little, longing of the Metroidvania genre that I really, really like. It's why Hollow Knight is one of my favorite games. It took that, morphed it, and made it into a completely wonderful Metroidvania kind of game. And when Bloodstained Ritual of the Night came out on PC, I just had to have it, you know? It is a true Metroidvania, Castlevania sequel. Tried and true. Same creators, same everything. I mean, people that have Castlevania license aren't really making those games anymore. And I just wanted to have it. And it had all the same things that I loved in the Castlevania stuff that I played. Remember, Aria of Sorrows, Aria of Despair? Don't remember the second one, but I played both. That little itty-bitty bit of collecting. Gets me every time. So it had that. It had the Castlevania. It is a great game. And that's why it's number 4 on this list. It has not only the one ending, it has 3 endings that took a little bit of time to figure out. It is a terrific game. It's got builds that I can do. I've done my own little thing. People do their own little things. It felt nostalgic without being nostalgic. And I think it was crafted with love, and it works so really, really well. So that's why Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is number 4 on this list. So, number 3 is an early access game. Now, my rule of thumb for early access games and recommendations, and playing them and loving them, are if they are at a state where if nothing else happens to them, and they are still really fun to play, it's worth the recommendation. Alright? Things like Darkest Dungeon, things like Slay the Spire. Those were early access games where, at the point of playing them, they were fine, and they were good, and they were enjoyable and wonderful. All kind of the same words there. And if nothing else happened to them, if they never ever got updated, or if they stayed the way they were, they would be fine. And that's kind of what this one is for me right now. Noita. At least I think that's how you pronounce it. I still don't really 100% know if that's actually how you pronounce it, but Noita is number 3 on this list. For a very odd reason. It's not the reason I thought I would like it, but it's a different reason. We'll get into that. But first of all, Noita is a roguelike wizard game, where you play as this robed figure with your magic missile wand, and wand that drops explosions that will utterly destroy you. You go into a cave, and you go down the holy mountain, and you find what lies below. I've done it once. It was real weird. Real weird. But the draw, when I saw this game, I think I saw it on PC Gaming Show at E3 this year. I think. Might have also been... No, I don't think it was Devolver as well. My nose is itchy. Stupid mustache. Noita is a sandbox game in the grainiest sense of the word. If you've ever played Powder or Sandbox, Flash games, mind you, these are games that you are given semi-godlike creative powers where you can pick an element and kind of spread it around. And then you pick another element and you spread it around. And your third one, it kind of all mixes together, and it's all individually pixelated, and it all has its own little physics, And that's what Noida's world is like. Everything kind of reacts to everything in a certain way. Water flows through tiny cracks that you've blown holes into. There's acid gets stopped by glass, but then if it's let go, it just burns through solid rock and some metal. Well, no, not metals. It doesn't actually burn through metal that well. But if you take, like, electricity, if you have a spell that casts electricity and it hits water, it electrocutes the water, and then it electrocutes the metal you're standing on, and then you just get fried. It has weird combinations of the world, and that was the draw originally that I had. And it was great. It was good. Wouldn't say it was, top 5 games of the year at that point. What really got me, though, was the wands. Now, this is a not very talked about selling point of the game that I think needs to be talked about a little bit more. In the game, actually, it also needs a tutorial because it is really obscure how those things work. Fuck. Just, if they don't, look it up. It's weird. So, you start off with your own little magic missile wand and a wand that shoots explosions. You can then pick up wands that have their own little stats and spells already pre-put on them. So, example. The wand you start with is a wand of magic missile. As I've said the third time already. Rambling. Yeah. It starts with its own little base stats. It has numbers related to casting speed, mana regeneration, amount of spells it can hold, and then you cast 2 spells, which individually the spells themselves have their own also little stats. So right off the bat, there is some weird number min-maxing going on that can kind of get started. And as you go forward through the dungeon, you can either find new wands with new spells, or buy them in little rest stop areas along the way. And then comes the very fun part. The mixing and matching. Ooh. So, wands have their own preset numbers and stats and whatnot, and depending on what they do and how much mana they hold and how much they regen, you can stick on, a fireball spell. And you can cast that fireball spell a number of times. Great. But then there are modifier spells that if you take, this is a fireball that now bounces. This is a fireball that starts homing on people. This is a fireball that if someone is on fire, it explodes more. You start adding things. You bifurcate it. It shoots 2 magic missiles. It shoots 2 fireballs at once. It starts to leave a slime trail or acid trail. The combinations of wands and magic is what I think the game should focus on more and also explain, because where you put the spell and modifier in the wand actually makes a difference, which also, depending on which one you find, you can cast 1 spell at a time or 5 spells at a time, or it has its own modifier of, this also creates water from whenever you fire. The combinations are crazy. Not to mention also the perks that you pick up along the way as well. So that, on top of the world disintegrating around you whenever you screw up, plus explosions, plus enemies that make things explode as well and kill you a lot, plus weird shit that happens. Let's not talk about the jungle area. That shit, that's nightmare fuel, that place. Yeah. It's just, it's a hodgepodge of weird ideas that work on top of each other. And that's really interesting. It is the most interesting game I've played in a really long time, game mechanically wise. And that's why I put it on the number 3 spot, because it still has potential to grow. It's in early access. It's already got really interesting things. And as they keep adding more spells, adding more perks, adding more wands, the possibilities continue. Not to mention, there are secrets in the entire world that are just good luck finding them. I found like 3 or 5. It's really hard. So, a little thing that doesn't really pop up a lot in modern games that I play not only on the channel but for fun is that I really like puzzly order of operations solution type things. It doesn't happen a lot. Rarely does it actually come into any game. I think the game that I played that really caught my attention back in the day was, I think, a Dr. Brain type mini game. Don't remember which one exactly. But it kind of got me in this is how things work. You can program it into the thing and it'll do it in this specific way. And if you program it wrong, it doesn't do the thing quite right. But if you do it just perfectly enough, it works like a charm. Little bit of robotics in there. Which is funny to say because Autonauts, the number 2 spot of this list, is all about order of operations programming. It's really, really good. And it's adorable too. It is absolutely adorable. So basically, if you do not know what this game is, which is surprising because it was like the highest selling game on Steam for a while, you are a colonist, and you are trying to make a planet habitable for babies. I don't get it either. But in order to do that, you need to make robots to help you along the way and do simple tasks. But then as the tasks get more and more complicated, you have to make different robots to do different tasks and feed things and power things and craft things, and it gets complicated, but on the base level, you still got that, I have a robot, if you do this, and then this, and then this, and take that item that you just crafted and put it in the box, it just works, and you set it going, and you don't have to worry about that until it runs out of power, or, I don't know, a chicken does something, I don't know, I still haven't gotten to chickens yet. It's great. It is, like, cutesy, but there's, like, this weird underlying, because the character you play as kind of swears sometimes, the robots learned that, so they swear sometimes. It's weird. I don't know if that was intended, but it's like, oh no, the robots learned it from you. Yeah, that's a problem. And you're around kids. That's not a good thing. You should be teaching kids, or robots for that matter. But getting back on topic, the puzzle aspect, but also the, not roguelike, but crafting of items in a specific order for then a robot to take that item over here to make something and then to craft it again for somebody else. It's complicated in not a complicated way unless you make it complicated yourself. And it's kind of brought me back into this old programming habit I had, not for actual robots and programming, mind you, but games that had like light programming like that. So I'm looking for more stuff in that field. I have another game in mind specifically, but Autonauts itself, absolutely number 2, because it not only brought back that love that I had, but it has its own stuff and your own follow-through, and it's just great. It's just a great, relaxing game that, for some reason, if a whole bunch of robots don't get charged, your entire production line just shuts down. And that's a great time. Finally, on the number 1 spot, we have a game that I did not expect at all to be on the number 1 spot. I expected things like, I don't know, Bloodstained, something like that, or Autonauts even. I'm looking at the list, and myself. Hey, there I am. I expected those things to be like on the top, you know, Divinity. Divinity 2. You'd think that would be on the top of this list. It's not. It's a tiny game that you can pick up for less than $5. It is the most charming, the most thought-provoking, the most devious little game that I have maybe ever played this year. It's Islanders. Now, Islanders is real simple. Follow me on this. So you've got this randomly generated island, right? It's small. You start off small. They get bigger and bigger as you go along. And you are given certain buildings, right? Those little buildings have score value, and, you place them down and you get points. And after a certain point threshold, you move on to the next island, so on and so forth. Rinse, repeat. But not only do you have these little buildings, other buildings work off other buildings. So you can place let's say we have a town hall. We're just going to put the town hall right there in the right there off to the side center of this little island here. And I've got a little house. So because it has a point value, but then also in the radius of its little area, it's next to this place. I get more points. So on and so forth. Things keep building. You get bigger buildings, you add them there, other buildings work with other things, yada, yada, yada. It is a charming, just thoughtful, like the mind kind of wanders but also stays focused kinds of things. I've spent nearly 70 plus hours on this little thing, and the real thing that I find that I enjoy from this game the most is how evil it is. Oh, you think it's nice, calming, pretty even. No. With the simple addition of points and a leaderboard, it has become not just a make something pretty and move on to the next island to make something more pretty. It is a competition. It is a min-max demon. It is boiled down min-maxing. If you don't know what min-maxing is, it's when you, well, in my mind, my intention, if you can take something and you get points from it, or you get a score from it, but if you just kind of almost perfectly put other things around there, you get more points. You maximize your points with a minimal amount of effort. That's what I always assume min-maxing is. You really think ahead. You really have to think ahead, because the later on buildings are big. You have to find space for them, and if you don't have space for them, they're just dead buildings in your inventory. You have to think about all the buildings that are available. Luckily, there's not a lot of buildings. There's a good amount of buildings that you can work with and make scores with and make little towns with. Oh, it's so cute. But if you don't have the space for it, you can't use it. If it is a building that doesn't go good with other buildings, you'll get negative points. So once you start off with just, you start off with that house. Well, okay, if I put the house here, then later on down the road, this building goes into this, will have this area of effect. These little buildings connect to other little buildings, so they'll start to grow and grow and grow. And then this big building, we're going to put here, over here. We'll put it here. No, here. We'll put it here. And then that'll gain its amount of points, because also we've got other buildings around another direction that then will be in its radius again. It is devious. And if you really dive deep into the game, you can just get lost. But if that seems way too intense, it doesn't have to be. You can just negate, not care about your score and be like, oh, okay, I do this, there, oh, that looks great, oh, yay, I got enough points to move on to the next island. You can play it those multiple ways. You also have a sandbox mode, so you can just play in place wherever you want. Fuck that. I don't want to play sandbox mode. I am score hungry. My town will be the most points ever. I've gotten good points, too. Oh, yeah, I've gotten good points. But that just shows you how a tiny game with just this lovely little art style, really lovely aesthetic, really simple mechanics can be all-consuming. It is a wonderful game. It is cheap. Go pick it up. You will not be disappointed. Everyone should at least have this game. Oh, okay. That took a while. That has been the top 5 games both I did and didn't play this year. Rounding off again, going from bottom to top. Games I didn't play. Number 5, Greedfall. Really interesting CRPG twist that I may or may not enjoy, but still I'm really interested in. Number 4 is Carrion. I want to eat people. And that's also why I want to play the game. It's a thing. Don't worry about it. Number 3 is Borderlands 3. It's just more Borderlands. It's just a better Borderlands. What can go wrong with that, except for a lot of hours playing Borderlands? Number 2, Silksong. Hollow Knight is an amazing game, and if they can pull this off as a as good, if not better, sequel, I'm all for it. And then number 1 is Control, which is the game's weird, and I want to be in that world of weirdness. Whew. And then, of course, the games I did play. Number 5, Borderlands pre-sequel. Give it a shot again. Time made it better, I feel. I really think that it got judged a little too harshly. Just saying. Number 4 is, of course, Bloodstained. Real great nostalgia trip. Even though it's not an old game, it is absolutely wonderful. I didn't even talk about the art style. It's pretty and pristine, stained glass, stylish, and wonderful gameplay, Castlevania, Metroidvania-y stuff. Number 2, of course, Awesome... I skipped. Number 3, because 3 is after number 4. Number 3 is Noida. Not only is the world really kind of interesting to play around with, but the game mechanics and the way the game is evolving and changing and just making things creatively, it's really fascinating, and I'm really curious on where it goes and how it finishes and dismounts the landing. I'm hoping it does really well. Number 2 now is Autonauts. Love computing stuff. Drawing a blank on the word. Order of operations. I love order of operation robots doing simple tasks and just creating a network that makes you a sandwich. Actually, it's just to pick apples and then make those apples into porridge and then making bread and then making pies. Still haven't gotten to pies. That's really far off. Still being updated too. Do want to point that out. It's still being updated, and there's still going to be stuff added to it and changed and stuff. It's not an early access, it's fully out, but I'm looking forward to seeing where other updates go. And then finally, number 1, Islanders. It is absolutely a wonderful, devious little game that you will sink hundreds of hours into. I'm gonna hit 100 hours in this game. I know I'm going to. It is well worth the probably less than $5. I think it's like $5 or $6. It's well worth checking out, even if you just absolutely worth recommending. That has been the top 5 games I did and didn't play this year. Hopefully we play some of the games I didn't play next year, and hopefully we find things that are just odd. And I'm not expecting, that's the best part about the new year and games that I haven't experienced yet. I don't know what's coming up, and I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens next year.